If that item in the shadow box behind the officer is in fact a cartridge, then that would explain why you can still see the lines attached to what it would appear to be something in the officer's hand. And what's critical here is it is not the taser that is behind the officer if the lines are still attached to something in the officer's hand, correct?
That is correct, yes.
So, Larry Kablinski, help me forensically figure out what might have happened next. This shows the black item is behind the officer and the taser wire is still somewhere around the vicinity of the officer's arms or hands. Yet the officer, when he approached the victim on the ground, he then returned to this exact site and picked something up. Can we be fairly clear that it was not the taser, at least the black item behind the officer thus?
It's quite possibly he picked up the cartridge. These devices come with two cartridges. One obviously was fired, and he is still holding the taser in his hand at this point, and the barbs are now attached to Mr. Scott. Again, it didn't take him down.
Could have been the cartridge. Can I ask our control room to do me a favor, please? Could we go back to the image that shows something being dropped from the hand of the officer towards the body of Mr. Scott as he's on the ground? And now I'm going to re-ask you, Peter Gleason, if you could look at the item. If we could blow it up as big as possible. I know that's a big ask right now. But it was the shape that I said, does that resemble the shape of a taser? Now I'm going to instead ask you if it resembles the shape of perhaps the cartridge that might be what flew out of his hand and flew behind him.
Well, again, it's not discernible, but to your point, and to the point of the panel, if the wire was attached to Mr. Scott, is it reasonable for the officer to walk with the taser device, which is still attached to, the wires are attached to Mr. Scott, as well as attached to this device he has in his hand? Is it logical to walk over there and drop that next to him? I don't know. Did he pick up the cartridge, which I'm assuming this cartridge is probably about the size of a